Hey guys, it is April from Getting Hygge With It. Today I am bringing you my spring TBR. I don't do a lot of TBR videos and I hesitate to do them because I'm not amazing at actually sticking to the books that I plan to read. Sometimes I find it can kind of deter me from wanting to read those books if I get too strict on myself about what I'm going to read. So these are some books that I'm hoping to read in the spring. If I don't get to do them in the spring, no one's going to die, but I am really excited about these books. So let us begin. The first book that I'm hoping to read this spring is Emma by Jane Austen. I sadly have not read all of Jane Austen's works. I have read Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, Northanger Abbey, and Lady Susan, but I still have 2 or 3 that I need to get to, and Emma is one of them. I'm surprised that I haven't reached for this yet because so many critics say that Emma is her absolute best work, so I really think that I should be getting to this. Emma follows a young woman named Emma, and she believes that she has a talent for matching people up. So she kind of plays matchmaker throughout this novel, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't very well. The next book that I would like to read this spring is The Distant Hours by Kate Morton. Now, I try to read one Kate Morton a year. I find Kate Morton a really cozy kind of read. I would say that she's a bit of historical fiction and a little bit of mystery kind of combined. There's nothing too gruesome, so that's where the cozy part comes in. So The Distant Hours follows a woman who's had a pretty normal upbringing, and then one day a letter arrives that was supposed to arrive for her mother like 50 years ago, and suddenly it's appeared, and it brings her to this old castle, and she kind of dives into her mother's history, and it sounds like she has a kind of interesting history during World War II. So I'm just looking forward to a little cozy read of Kate Morton. The next book I am dying to read is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Now, this book has been floating around on YouTube for a very long time, and it's always kind of piqued my interest. But recently, a girl and a book recommended it, and so I was like, okay, it's time. So I ran out to chapters and picked it up. It follows a girl named Rosemary Harper who gets on this spacecraft called the Wayfarer, and she gets on it so that she can have a little bit of rest. You don't know from what exactly, but it sounds like she meets all sorts of very interesting characters that she didn't bargain to meet. It just sounds so fun, and just reading the first few pages, I'm already totally intrigued. I'm ready to dive in. Next, I'd like to read Experimental Film by Gemma Files. This won the Shirley Jackson Award in 2015, I believe. It was up against Bird Box and won, and I just can't imagine anything being more terrifying than Bird Box. So I'm putting a lot of hope in this book. It sounds like this follows a film teacher in Ontario. Yay, Canada. She watches a piece of film footage that happens to explain what happened to this one socialite who went missing in the 20th century, like the early 20th century. So, sounds kind of neat. I don't know if that sounds absolutely petrifying to me. It sounds more thriller than horror, but who knows? I'm still really excited to get into it. The next book I really want to read is The Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I believe that Octavia Butler is the first, or one of the first, African-American female sci-fi writers. So I don't know how it's even humanly possible that I haven't read anything by her yet, but I am starting here. This is the first of 2 books. Usually they're trilogies, but anyway, this is only 2 books in this series. So this follows a girl named Lauren. She is living with her parents. Her father is a minister, and the world is no longer safe. Even like gated communities aren't safe, and her family dies in a fire, I think, and she goes out into the world. And it's basically the story from then on. I don't know too much about this book. Katie from Chapter Stacks keeps on recommending this, and pretty much anything she says is good, I tried to pick up. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. The next book I cannot wait to read is The Spider and the Fly. This is a nonfiction book that follows a female reporter who interviews a serial killer. And he says this when they meet. Well, Claudia. Can I call you Claudia? I'll have to give it to you when confronted. At least you're honest as any reporter. You want to go into the depths of my mind and into my past? I want to peek into yours. It is only fair, isn't it? That's freaking petrifying. It's so Silence of the Lambs. I cannot wait. I can't believe this happened in real life to someone. The next book I would like to read is Sweet Francaise. Now, this book was written by a woman who lived during World War II. She was a Jew, and in real life she was killed, but not before she was able to complete this novel. This book was hidden from the world for over 60 years, and it's just recently been published. So it is an account of the Second World War. I think this is going to be a really important read for me, and for some reason, morbidly, I read a lot of World War II books in the spring. I don't know what it is. Last year it was The Nightingale. This year it's Sweet Francaise. I don't get it, but it's happening. The next book I really want to pick up is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. Now this book follows a man who has lost pretty much everything. Like his wife has died, his store is not doing well, one of his prized books has been stolen, he's not having a good time. And then one day a mysterious package arrives in the mail and everything changes. This is supposed to be a really uplifting book. It's a book about books, and you can't go wrong with a book about books. The next book I am hoping to get to, but it's a chunky one, is The Thorn Birds by Colleen McCullough. This is a novel set in Australia and is a kind of family drama as well as a bit of a romance. I'm really hoping it's not a gross romance because I can't stand that. But this came highly recommended by Modern Mrs. Darcy, and I thought this would be a good time to pick it up. The last book that I want to read in the spring is The Girls in the Garden by Lisa Jewell. This was a thriller that was really big in the summer, and I found it on a Kindle deal. This follows a community. They live in apartments that all look out onto this garden. And one day, one of the children of this community stumbles upon something very, very bad that's happened in the garden. So those are the books that I am hoping to read for spring. I'd love to know what the most exciting book that's on your TBR for spring is. Leave it in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye!